And we live. Salute. What's good to anybody that's entering the building, to anybody that catch this on the replay. You already know what time it is. Do me a favor before you walk in my castle. Take your shoes off, dust your feet off, sit back and enjoy the ride. And remember to take some of these good vibes around to some of these other content creators. Shout out to Philly Bruja. Shout out. And like Philly is like really one of my favorite content creators. But this is totally inspired by Philly Bruja. What's up, my blooded dice? What's good? But this is totally inspired by her. Her live, y'all can go check it out yourselves. But it's a portion in that, sometimes you something inspire you in whatever way, something sparks a memory. And I remember this Bystander Effect, and a few years ago, it's a actual case surrounding this that they use this for studies and shit. But we're gonna get into all that shit. But first, before we get into what the actual show is about, this was supposed to originally start a little while ago, but I got caught into watching something very interesting, right? On YouTube. And these YouTubers, this young couple of YouTubers that do pranks and shit. They've been around for a while. They quit their jobs, whatever. But they've been throughout their time of being YouTubers on here. It has always been this ongoing issue with homie cheating and shit. But that's besides the point. Let's just keep it above. I don't give a fuck about none of that. But in his little thesis, in his little statement that he was making to his fans, as he was addressing the reason why he was going through these things. And sometimes people never admit this, and for them to be, as still young as they are and getting married young and shit like that, and him expressing the reason why, and him not used to dealing with the type of female that he was dealing with. But what he was saying, and I wish I actually would have took a clip of it, but pretty much what he was saying, that he was cheating because of his own insecurities. That he couldn't believe that, Shorty was only dealing with him. So it was just one of those things where, I'm gonna do this shit. So just in case she is, I shouldn't be laughing, but this is funny. But just in case she is, shit, I got something to fall back on, and I ain't looking stupid. But what he also said on the flip side of that is, and what he missed the point in, the reason why he continued, and hopefully he got somebody in his life that'll make this part dawn on him, is the fact that she stayed with him throughout all that shit. You know what I mean? Because without the fear of losing something, excuse me, my bad. Without the fear of you losing something, I'm going to continue to do this shit and probably will continue. Hopefully he learned from it, but I just thought it was funny. But at least he admitted to it. Hey, salute, Philly. You weren't here for the beginning. Like I said, this is totally inspired by you. Salute to you for this particular live. Well, the main part of it anyway. Because you totally forget about something. I totally forgot about this bystander shit, which is the theory itself. Even though they keep studying it, I think it's a little more complicated than we even know. I think it but we'll get into it. I'm gonna start this motherfucking show. All right, I'll be right back.
In one way or the other, I'm a bad brother. Word. In one way or the other, I'm a bad brother. Word. You're watching Generation X Radio with your host, Street Knowledge.
Coward dies 1,000 deaths. A soldier dies but once. Dies but once. Dies but once. Dies but once. Dies but once.
What's up, pretty? So before we get into the main portion of the show, China has been a topic of discussion for a minute in their dealings over in Africa. All right, I'm gonna give y'all my opinion when it comes to that situation. For those that don't know, China over there in their country has been building these fucking mega cities that nobody lives in. I'm dead serious. Nobody lives in these motherfuckers. There's fucking houses and shit everywhere, businesses, all that shit. Fucking ghost towns. Nobody's there. They even building around the people who won't leave. Like it's literally a house in the middle of a road, a street. So they have a traffic. I'm saying this shit to say is a lot of shit we be thinking is about certain shit. Don't be. Like it's literally as simple as the fact that them cultivating land and building somewhere else is helping bringing in income that's missing from these mega cities that they've been building. It's not like it's one or two of these motherfuckers. Like I'm not even over exaggerating. And what's crazy is this shit been going on for a long time. If you put in China and ghost cities, it's like I'm not making this shit up, but I'm gonna try some shit or do some shit I very seldomly do over here, and let's do this fucking file sharing shit. I hate doing this shit. Usually I like doing the clips and shit, but we gonna see how this shit work out. Bear with me, but I honestly want y'all to see this shit. Like they really are built. They done built maybe about 10, 15 cities, and I'm not talking about no little small cities. I'm talking about big mega cities with movie theaters, restaurants, big ass houses, because they trying to get the motherfuckers to move from inhabiting a certain part and coming over here. They like, nah, we ain't fucking with that. We can't even afford that shit. They even built the whole city that is, and they got a lot of these, that is the exact replica of Paris and shit. This is the type of shit they doing, but nobody's living in this shit. Nobody. But let's see how this shit work. Hold on. Give me a minute. This is why I don't like this shit. Like it's taking long and shit. Like my way would have been up there. Like what the fuck? Hold on. Let's try this the fuck again. That's the bullshit I be talking about.
The old gives way to the new. Entire cities emerge seemingly from nowhere. Well, it's absolutely phenomenal. Then when you look at this,
That's exactly why I don't use that shit. This is exactly why I don't use that shit. I hate that shit. That's exactly why I don't use that shit. It is the dumbest shit. I don't know. Maybe it's just my fucking laptop. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. Because see, I wouldn't even have known the shit was fucking up the way it was if I wasn't paying attention to it on the other screen. Because back on my end, it looks fine. So I hate that shit. But anyway, no, it was tripping. Pretty. That shit's some bullshit. That's why I don't. That's why I don't like doing that fucking share file, share screen. None of that share shit. That's why I usually just download shit in the back. But I was trying to see. I was trying to see if I could do the shit because in actuality, it kind of saves more time. But presentation wise, now it's just trash, and I hate that shit. I will never ever do that shit again. Which is just really, really fucked up my show. But it was working fine on the fucking on the private shit, and I tested it out. Come showtime, then I'm gonna do some fuck shit. But that just really pissed me off. But anyway, back to the point that I was making before we move on, which then fucked up all the rest of my clips because all the rest of that shit is back here. But anyway, they have about 10 to fit. What's up, friendly extortion? They have about 10 to 15 mega cities that they have built over in China. About 10 to 15. With no population of people living in. None. I wish y'all could have seen it. I really do wish y'all could have seen it. So I don't use that shit. That just agitated the fuck out of me. Because I could have took a minute and something seconds away from the shit a couple times and put it up here. Y'all that got the gist of it. But trying to shit this man, like what the fuck? Hold on, let me see something. Maybe just maybe I can make it happen. Hold on, let me. No, you know what? I ain't even try. What's up, old head dudes? What's good, Rain? But they didn't build these mega cities, and when I say mega cities, I mean like really they put money into these mega cities. Um, in the way that they have decided to kind of make up for that. Cause see, we look at them and we think, oh, they making all this, they doing this. But really, what they have started to do, and the only thing that's been keeping them afloat is their lending process with other countries. Like mad countries owe them money, including us. But Africa being on that list. But you know, that land over there and them putting, you know, businesses and shit on that land is helping them because they done lost mad money. They done invested billions and billions of dollars into these fucking cities that nobody is moving into. Like dead ass serious. The first time I heard about it, I think it was like 2014. Yeah, like 2014. When 60 Minutes and Dateline did something on this shit, talking about them fucking ghost cities. And they started this shit years ago. This ain't the first go round. And they keep doing this shit. They keep doing this shit. And the ill part about it, they not like us. Like we'll wait people out and shit and wait until people eventually sell or move out of the property. Nah. Hey, fuck that. If you the last motherfucker left, they're going to build around you. They showed examples of this shit. They showed examples of somebody's residence being like it's a fucking courtyard, the mall, in this person's house in a waterfall. That's just fucked up. That's just so fucked up. But they done this shit, and literally the only people that's kind of living in these so-called ghost cities or towns or whatever the fuck you want to call it is the people that they ended up building around, because the other people can't afford to live in this shit. So a lot of this shit, a lot of the talk that's going on, and the shit that's being perpetuated, or what was people are saying is attempting to be done, is something a lot of people been doing over there. A whole lot of people been doing over there. Buying land and building over there, because when it comes to that, especially with technology and shit, and a lot of the shit that we use every day, a lot of our phones, a lot of shit that's inside our phones, inside these fucking bullshit ass TVs, all that shit, is for as much as their money ain't shit over in those countries, they rich in soil, their land, that shit is a lot. And it's easier to be close to that shit to be able to get what you want than to have to go through getting it the other way that they doing it. But anyway, like I was saying, that shit has more to do with them trying to save themselves from this shit that they didn't set themselves up in, and they ain't learned, because they still in the process of building another one right now. They're still building these fucking cities. Please Google this shit. I'm able to show this shit to y'all. Google this shit. There's a couple of videos on it. 60 Minutes did a whole fucking special on the shit. So did Dateline. Not recent. They did the 60 Minute shit is from 2013, 2014, some shit like that. But watch that shit. Y'all see what I'm talking about. Everything ain't about us. Especially when a lot of them motherfuckers don't fuck with us in the first place. And what I'm about to say next, before I move on to the next shit, a lot of people might not like this shit. But some of you motherfuckers are worrying about some shit that's taking place in a place you have never been, that you barely identify with, and you can't even handle or keep gentrification from happening in your own fucking city. It makes no sense to have certain types of conversations if realistically you can't have these conversations about your own area and do something about this shit happening where you're from, where you live at. Because best to believe they don't give a fuck about what the fuck is going on over here at all. They just don't. It ain't their fight, ain't they struggle. Shit, half of them don't even. And I wish I could play that fucking clip. Hold on. I might can. let me move some shit around. Let me play something real quick. Silence is the death of radio. Oh.
They said it was all about knowledge. And now I feel like I got most of it all.
Yo, lost ship. Drop it.
Introducing
This shit is moving extra.
a man who needs no introduction. And what you see is what you get. They call it street knowledge. You're watching Street Knowledge live.
Already know, boy, you about to get busy with it right now.
I'm gonna play the audio from as soon as I can find this dude. And I was looking at the comments and so many people being upset at what he said, but what he said wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong at all. As soon as I can find this shit. Hold on, yo. As soon as I can find this shit. In a nutshell, he was pretty much saying that he finds it funny people outside of his particular country claiming something that they're not. And he pretty much was saying and giving a small little history lesson of the fact that everybody here ain't from there. And people in the comments section was going crazy on y'all. They was going nuts on him. But he ain't wrong. Everybody ain't come from that just because of you motherfuckers want to listen to and don't even realize where that shit came from. And what the whole excuse around that shit is, the whole understanding of the out of Africa theory, along with evolution and all that shit. A lot of shit is based out of, but I ain't even get into all that. So the reason why that this live even took place in the first place, and again, shout out to Philly Brewer for the inspiration, was I think something that happens more often than not in a lot of different situations, and that's the bystander effect. This shit happens. This shit happens on social media, and I'm using it as an example in a small way. Happens in chat rooms. Somebody go by a chat room and see a bunch of people there, and ain't nothing going on. Whoever the content creator ain't doing shit on the screen, not doing a fucking thing. But in that sense, that person will stay around to fit in and be part of the crowd. Now, I'm using that as an example when it's two different things. One don't really have nothing to do with the other, but it does in theory. Because when these things happen and somebody is in danger and somebody is laying there, the studies say the odds of somebody reacting or doing something when there's a group of people around lowers because it's a group of people around. Somebody's expecting for somebody to do something, or somebody don't want to be the first one to do it. The odds of somebody doing something when there's less people heightens because there's less people for that person to care about, rather than not somebody care about what they doing in the first goddamn place, which is crazy. And they didn't did tons of these fucking experiments and shit related to it. There's a bunch of them that's related to it. There's even some shit that they did where they had a person stand in line in front of absolutely nothing, just stood in line. People walked past. Eventually, people started standing in line with this person without even knowing what the fuck they were standing in line for. People stood there. Everybody stood there waiting, and some people walked by. But in this sense, and there was this case, and this whole shit then fucked up my whole theme for the day because I can't play with the fuck I have. But it was a case of a young lady being murdered in New York City, and mad people saw it. A lot of people saw it. I can't even say the number of people saw it, but a lot of people saw it. Like, and I ain't talking about like in passing, like a lot of people saw it from their windows, all this shit. Crazy thing is, nobody intervened. Yep, Kitty, that's the name. Nobody intervened, and very few called the police. And I'm so pissed off because I got all the fucking clips back here. I can't even play none. But that's only that's one of the cases they use for example, but it's a few cases. And when I heard her last name, the first time I heard of the story, I was incarcerated taking a fucking psychiatric class. I know all of us fucking convicts take these fucking classes, but hey, what the fuck else you gonna do, right? We all take these fucking classes. We take a lot of fucking classes, and shit, y'all wouldn't even believe. But anyway, so when I first heard the last name, the first thing I thought was this gotta be some type of fucking mob hit. And granted, I was 18. I ain't know no better. I heard Genovese. I hear Genovese, I think mob. You know what I'm saying? Genovese family, one of the 5 families in New York, for those that don't know. Now, this young lady didn't have no relation, but me, 18, I hear the cat say that. I'm thinking mob hit. That's why people didn't move. That's why ain't nobody called police. That's what I'm thinking. Up until this shit, they further continue telling the story. Now I'm gonna try to play the clip. I'm gonna do what Philly said and try to play this shit and remove some of this shit from back here because maybe that's part of the problem too. I think I was trying to do a little bit too much. I thought I could do the same thing like I do with the video clips, and evidently you probably can't. So I'm gonna try to remove some of this shit and see if that help. Let's take Scarface out. No, I didn't mean to do that. My bad, y'all. I was trying to remove something and add it to shit. Hold on, bear with me. I hate this shit. That's why I hate this shit. I hate this shit. All right, remove. Goddammit. Goddamn. Hold on. I think it's one more. One more to move out. And then we're going to try this shit. Shit's agitating the fuck out of me. That's why I like doing shit my way. Alright. Let's remove this. And I'm pretty sure a lot more of y'all probably heard of this or heard of a aspect of it before, and just forgot about it. Because I know I did up until Philly brought it up in her video earlier. I forgot all about it. Shit, it was 96. The first time I ever heard of it, in a class that I took while I was incarcerated, and I really never heard anybody mention it till then. That came up also. And what's crazy is I didn't think of that one, but I just a little while ago, a few months ago, I had just talked about the shopping cart theory, which that I learned that from there too. And anybody not familiar with the shopping cart theory, that's the they use, which I think is a poor gauge of judge on people morally, because there's no real consequence of whether or not you put a fucking, well, I guess it is. But I don't think it has that much of an effect, because it's still somebody's fucking job to put the shit back. That shit I never got. But the time frame that it was invented, I get why they used it, but I just think now it just doesn't serve no real purpose of using fucking shopping carts to gauge whether or not as a society we could fucking police ourselves. But let me try this shit. We're gonna try it one more time. Let's see what we can do.
Help me, sir. Please help me.
Helping would be inconvenient or even risky. He lies there for more than 20 minutes and no one raises an eyebrow.
Please, somebody help me.
It's always very distressing to watch situations like this where people are obviously suffering and no one's actually helping them. But what we have here is two conflicting rules. One is the rule that we ought to help, and the other is the rule that we ought to do what everybody else is doing. And here you have effectively a group of strangers who are exerting the pressure not to intervene, not to help, and it's very difficult to rebel.
Ruth, another actor, takes Peter's place. How long before she receives help? Four minutes later, and 34 people have passed without stopping.
Well, people don't really want to know. They just haven't got the time. Well, they have got of the time they just don't want to get involved.
Unwittingly, these strangers have silently formed a temporary group with the rule, don't get involved. They're afraid to stand out from the crowd and won't take action if no one else does. This woman has clearly spotted Ruth, but she conforms to the rule and does nothing. Watch what happens, though, when someone else helps.
You alright? You alright?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, you look a bit clicky, you know what I mean?
She suddenly finds herself in a different group with a new rule to help.
You want to sit up?
Well, does she?
You alright, yeah? You are.
First I thought she was dead. Then I sort of checked to see if she was breathing or not. And I looked around and I couldn't believe that no one had noticed her, because there was a bloke sat there just absorbed in reading a newspaper.
This time, Peter's dressed as a respectable gentleman. Now that his dress is in keeping with those around him, how long before he's rescued?
Hello, sir. How are you today?
I'm alright.
6 seconds. She even calls him sir. And suddenly, everyone's a good Samaritan.
Do you suffer from epilepsy?
That's a good point, Philly. I just as you were saying that, and when I watched it earlier, I thought to myself, when I was in the environment, how many times did I walk by dope fiends sitting on the steps, needle in their arm, nodded out. Now, because you see that shit so much, I ain't. The last thing crossed my mind was they overdosed. I thought they nodded out. Yeah, some whatever, and was gone. You know what I mean? Maybe 4 or 5 of them probably was gone, and you know what I mean? Who knows? Somebody could say them, whatever. But I know probably a few of those times a lot of people do, a lot of people pass, especially them in that phase. But under that scenario, wherever that, it sounded like they might have been in England somewhere. But you notice how when they got to the gentleman in the suit, how quickly, based upon how dude was dressed, people ran over. And then, but if I was the other motherfucker, I'm like, yo, don't come over here now asking me am I all right. I don't even know if I could have played that shit that fucking long. Like, don't come the fuck over here now. You motherfuckers saw me lying over here. But since we got that one to work, I'm gonna see if this other one worked. But for the story of the lady, I wanted to show two examples of studies that they did. That was one, and then here go another one that a guy did in a different setting that had nothing to do with anybody being hurt or injured or anything like that. It only had to do with him needing assistance with something. He invites some people to come for some type of, they thought they was coming for some shit. He explained it in the thing, and while they filling out the paperwork, he going to be putting together a tent. And watch everybody, if this shit work right, watch everybody's response. And they're going to do it with everybody in the room, and then 2 people in the room, and then 1 person in the room, and see how the people respond to him needing assistance in those circumstances. Watch. If this shit play. If it don't, then I just explain the shit the best way the fuck I can.
is nobody does anything. And if you don't believe me, I'll show you. We started with a large group of 10 people and told them they were here today to see a product demonstration. So we're just basically looking for emotional reactions to certain products. We're not quite ready to go yet, so as you can see, you have these surveys. Go ahead, start filling them out, take all the time you need with them. I am gonna go get the product and just kind of start throwing it together, and then we're gonna begin. Sound good, everyone?
Okay.
Cool. Cool, thanks. Here's the thing, though. Everybody but one of these people wasn't in on it. We gave her a 10-minute window where she could offer to help. Let's see if she comes to my rescue. We repeated this a few more times, with varying results. Come on.
Hopefully y'all got the gist of it. And the young lady in the front, after time of sitting there and watching, she was the only one of that group that ended up asking him, did he need assistance? Second group of people, some sat there and chuckled. Under those circumstances, under those circumstances, that's not nobody injured. That's some motherfucker struggling putting a tent together. I'm just saying. I get them using that as a gauge also, only because the circumstances. You would think in that setting though, that what was surprising to me in that setting, typically when people believe that they can benefit from something, they are more likely to assist in something. You feel what I'm saying? Like y'all came there, y'all was paid to be a part of whatever the fuck he told them they was going to be a part of. You would think that more of them would have been like, oh, yo, you need what? You need some help with that? You know what I'm saying? Because most of the time, everybody, we done all seen them motherfuckers. You done been in orientation at some shit once or twice. You sitting there filling out some shit. And there's always them couple of motherfuckers in there that motherfucker trying to do something over there. And here they come. They want to do something. You know what I mean? But I don't know if I would have, in that situation, if I'd have helped that motherfucker put the tent up. You know what I mean? Yeah, all of them could have helped put up the fucking tent. Like, it was motherfuckers in the back acting like they didn't even see dude. And there's one part in there that y'all didn't see where a guy whispers to another guy. He like, yo, are we allowed to help? Like, what? And dude looked at him like, I don't know, but I ain't helping. Fuck was like, I don't know, but I ain't helping. I mean, you can. And the other guy just hunched his shoulders like, all right, and went back to doing what he was doing. But again, that shit, I honestly think that the actual study itself is a little more complicated than what it appears to be, even to the people that's doing the studying. Because I think you got two things going on at the same time. You have an element of people, which is part of us in human nature, to want to be a part of something, to want to be a part of a crowd, to want to be a part of what's going on at that particular time or what's around us, regardless of what people might believe about themselves. You don't know until you're in that situation. You don't know how the fuck you respond until you're in that situation. And even then, it's different. I could say how I would respond. I can't even say how I would respond to something if I've been through it before, especially if it was 20 years ago, because I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I think under these circumstances, and people say all the time, well, if it was me, I think under a lot of those situations, it's hard to say. That's why, I get the fact that they do these studies. I just think that it's way more complicated than what it seems to be. You know what I mean? It's a dope ass TED talk on this particular topic. It's actually two. It's one with a black woman. She did an outstanding job, and there's one with a gentleman. And I actually think the title is what I just said. Actually, if anybody want to see it, but don't think one way or the other. In most cases, whether or not it says anything about the individual person, it says more about who we are as a society. And I'm gonna say this next clip playing. This is about the Genovese lady that I thought was the daughter of a mobster, but is not. I just want to make that clear. She's not. Just in case somebody out there think the same thing I think when you hear the last name Genovese. Hopefully this shit play. If not, we gonna keep it moving right on the fuck along. I am never doing this shit again. Mark my words. I will never use the share or nothing again. I'll put my clips in the back and do shit the way I have been doing it. I don't know how y'all deal with that shit. I can't do it. I have zero tolerance for that shit. I don't like that share or nothing. That's why I have never done it. I like the little clips in the back. Now, granted, they don't hold that much. I just, you know what I mean? Oh, her brother did a document. I didn't know that. Oh shit. I gotta check that out. I had no idea. I don't even know where this clip came from that I got. You can tell that the clip is old though. Trying to figure out where it came from. I don't know if it was a news special or something. You know how they do those whatever the fuck it was. It came from some fucking way. I don't know where this came from. But let's see if this shit play. Let's take this. Let's take something else away first. Let's try to take some shit out of here first. I shouldn't even put all this shit up here. I ain't know no better though, y'all. I thought I could do the same shit I do with the fucking video. Let's take this Japanese shit from back here. And let's try this. Let's go.
It's not that a person got murdered that shot the city. That happens, sadly. It's that a person got murdered and her neighbors watched and nobody did anything. Bill Bradley and I, we read about the murders that everybody else. Here we were two young social psychologists starting our research careers. We knew about Stanley Milgram's set of experiments on obedience to authority. And we started to think about, in an offhand way, what could have produced the Genovese effect.
Perhaps Kitty Genovese might have been alive today, and fewer people have seen that.
There were perhaps 38 people who could have responded, but each were looking to see what these other people were doing.
We decided to try to create a relatively ambiguous situation which we could see how people responded. We thought that one kind of thing that comes up that's often hard to tell whether it's a real emergency or not has to do with fire.
You see smoke coming through the vent, and it is ambiguous. What do you do? There's smoke coming out.
All right, so I had to stop this. That shit was getting on my nerve. But I think y'all get the gist of the shit, and it's plenty out there. I honestly like studies and shit like that where they use that plays a part in those situations. But look it up and think about it to yourself. It's hard to say whether or not you would do in that situation or not. Shout out to Philly Bruja. Her situation and her response at that moment, a whole lot played into her decision. I don't even know if she realized in that moment that she would do what she ended up doing in that moment, but that was just based off of her natural reaction in that moment. You know what I mean? Some people reaction might have been different. Their reaction might have been, okay, and watch, or pull out their phone and fucking record, or intervene, but only up to a certain point. You know what I mean? A lot of people wouldn't have did shit at all, but watch. I think more just on that situation before I move on in this shit. In that situation, now I hope everybody go watch her particular video. I think that sense of community, that type of interaction is missing. We don't have that sense of community anymore out in the cities. For one, a lot of us are further away from our families or where we grew up at, and even the people that have decided to stay within the environment or at a close distance of the environment or to the environment. It's still not that. It's something different now. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it to say what it is. I know a lot of people think it's this or think it's the kids now are different, and I don't think so. I don't think it's any of that. I don't know what it is. I don't know it, and it could be. I don't think so though. But it's definitely something different. Even with us. Even with us. Let's be clear. It's just something different, period. It's almost like we don't give a fuck. Like as a whole. You know what I mean? If I don't give a fuck was a people, it would be all of us. No, and when I say I don't give a fuck, I mean a lot of our shit is selfish in nature, and we're concerned about our immediate, what we can touch within our immediate distance, our family, what's going on with our family now. When I say immediate family, I'm talking about the people within the household. Like it's motherfuckers that don't even fuck with relatives of their cousins and shit. You know what I'm saying? Don't fuck with their cousins. Don't fuck with aunt so and so. Don't fuck with uncle so and so. You know what I'm saying? And I remember coming up, like my family, we was always within lengths of each other. Such and such lived over here, cousin over here, my motherfucking uncles and shit, and everybody would get together, play cards on Friday, half a Saturday. It'll be a fight, cuss each other out. Fuck you, I ain't come back no more. Motherfucker be back next weekend and do the same shit all over again. Now some shit like that happen. Motherfuckers ain't speaking to each other for years. They ain't speaking no more at all. You know what I'm saying? Like something is different. You know what I mean? Like something different about all of us. Everybody, from the kids to us, it's just something different. You know what I mean? We really don't. And that action of Philly Brewer, and shout out to her, like more, even though, like I said, that's a situation. That's a tough one. But if more of us did that shit, intervene when it comes to that, especially with the kids, because I remember shit being like that. Like fucking my great grandmother, a lady named Miss Jones and a lady named Miss Murray, all they did was sit in the fucking window. That's all they did, was sit in the window. Like they sat in, well, in Baltimore, when you come in most of the houses in the city, is something called the vestibule, which is like a little teeny hallway when you enter the door. And it is like another little hallway, and then it would be the family room or front room, whatever you want to call it. The room nobody was allowed to sit in but them, and they would sit in the window and watch that shit. So if we was out front, they sat there, and then all of them had them little bullshit ass flower houses built on the back, which I never understood. One of them got it, so everybody else ended up getting it. If we played out back, they would be sitting back there just to see what the fuck we was doing, so they could call and tell. But when it came to bigger shit, they communicated that, but they never called they would be the first ones, even though we called them nosy and all that shit. They never talked to the fucking police. They'd be the first one to tell the police they ain't see shit. But they damn sure gonna tell your mother. Grandmother, they damn sure gonna tell. We used to play wrestling in the backyard and shit. We used to get mattresses and shit and poles and get clotheslines to make the ropes and shit. And one day we used to make little wrestling belts, and it used to be like this side against this side. So it'd be Chester Street versus Huffman and Huffman versus Castro Street, all this little dumbass shit. And I wanted to power drive the little boy, and the mattresses came apart, and his head hit the concrete, and it busted his head open. He was crying, and his brother took him home and ran him home and shit. I was probably 6 or 7 and shit. I'm thinking to myself, like, we all thinking like, oh shit, he gonna die. I'm getting it. We wasn't allowed to wrestle no more after that day. I'm just saying, before I got a chance to even get out the fucking yard, my grandmother had already knew what the fuck happened, because Miss Jones called her because she seen the whole shit. But I'm saying all that to say, I don't know what the fuck it is, but that element of that family element that we had, whether it be with our immediate family or people we grew up with, it ain't a lot of that no more. It ain't a lot of that no more. Even in so-called small ways, like we built. I said this early on Ali channel. People in this little sector over here, all of us, whether it be the subscribers, whether it be the channel holders, everybody built whatever this is. Whatever this is that we all a part of, we built a little community. And the crazy thing is, even though this shit is not real life, it's not even nowhere close to real life, right? It is an extension of that and an example of the way a lot of people treat shit in actual life and in real life. You know what I mean? Even when it comes to following along with the crowd and shit, when it comes along to a whole lot of different shit. But again, I don't know what the fuck the difference is. I really can't put my finger on it. I've been trying to figure it out for the longest time. Me and Dice have talked about it a couple times and a few times. I can't figure this shit out. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I know it's almost all of us. You know what I'm saying? It's almost all of us. You know what I mean? And maybe it just comes from a lot of us being so concentrated on taking care of ourselves and making sure that our family good, that we stop concerning ourselves with if our brother and sister are good. You know what I mean? That's exactly right. That's a good way to put it. That fucking, but I don't know. I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know, but it's definitely a goddamn difference. You know what I mean? People will stand around and watch some fucked up shit happen, even record the fucked up shit. You know what I mean? Like I said before, motherfuckers will talk all this shit about what's on the dark web and all this other shit. And it's some fucked up shit on the dark web. Let's be clear. I ain't gonna act like it's not some fucked up shit on there. I done seen this shit in passing before. Like they legitimately have fucking prices with, you know, different body parts and organs and shit on that. And then based on what country you come from, the more it costs and all this other shit. Right? But a lot of the shit that y'all done seen on people channels or what it look like is not what the fuck it look like. That's a little fucking shit that people got from a satire site that does parodies and shit. So that shit y'all see people use, or that place in Hollywood that's supposed to have human body parts that people can sit down and eat, that place does not exist. It came from a satire site that does parodies and shit that show shit like that. But that's besides the point. But we done seen more fucking murders and shit like that on regular social media. Fuck the dark web. On regular social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. We done seen that shit every fucking way. You know what I mean? Like, nah. That dark web shit, that's some different shit. And what's crazy is you look at that shit. Now, I was at somebody else's house. I don't nothing to do with that shit. And I left a little bit after that. I don't think I have seen that person since then. This was back in the days when I used to do fucking CDs and DVDs and shit. And I didn't have a stackable. Well, I had a stackable. I just had the 2 joint. And those that's familiar with burning DVDs and CDs, you know, the more that you can do, the better off that could be. But I knew somebody that had like 4 or 5 stackables, like fucking like Blockbuster or some shit would have. You know what I mean? Dope shit. But he was showing me that weird shit. I ain't even go back the fuck back over there since then. But to the point, before I get too far off, in closing, like I said, I don't know what the issue is, what the issue is, or even what the fuck we can do about it at this point. But it's a growing issue everywhere amongst ourselves, our children, and in our communities. Because even though some of us are not in those communities no more, they still our communities. And I listen to people speak as if they're not. which makes no sense to me. You know, like I don't care if we have cultivated a better life for ourselves and moved on and shit like that, but we all know where the fuck we came from, and some of us wouldn't even be who we are without those people in that environment. A few of those people probably saved your fucking life. You know what I mean? Like that shit weird to me. Um, I get why people act like that. That's probably for their own shit. It's probably to forget. They probably got picked on. I don't fucking know. Maybe somebody fucked their girl. I don't know. I just can't see acting like that. But something gotta change. I don't know what we gotta do to change it. I don't know if it starts with our kids. I don't know if it starts with us being more active in our individual communities and doing something and reaching out to them. I don't know if it's coding. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the fuck the answers is. All I know it is ain't none of that shit talking. None of that shit is talking about it. A lot of that shit is exactly what Philly Brewhard did, even though I might not agree totally with the action, but it's more to do with the action itself and not speaking about it. Talking about shit ain't going to do nothing if somebody is not organizing and being involved in their communities and putting something together for these kids to feel like they're part of something without being a part of something else. Because a lot of motherfuckers these days, one thing that's different now is a lot of people do shit that they know they don't really want no parts of. And it's not to say, and I heard people say this before, and maybe my environment was different, but when I was going to school, like nobody picked on the smart kid, the nerdy kid. Pay that motherfucker to do our homework and shit. That motherfucker was protected. We didn't do that shit. Maybe that's just a Baltimore thing. I don't fucking know. But we didn't do that shit. At least not nowhere that I want to. But in saying all that shit, I never saw that type of shit. I never seen it happen to nobody. Shit. Most of us tried our best to have what would be called for our age a somewhat intellectual conversation because of what a lot of us was being raised by and under. But that back then the difference was everybody played their position. And it's not to say nobody should have been doing whatever the fuck they was doing. But if you was about whatever you was about, that's what you was about. If you was the motherfucking basketball player, nigga, you was the basketball player, nigga. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have homie right here that he ain't with the shits at all. Acting like he with the shits. He played his fucking position or what his role was. Everybody played their position. I'm going to fucking school. I can't tell motherfuckers apart. I don't know who the fuck is who. I tell my youngest daughter that all the time. Like, all these motherfuckers look alike. I don't know who all you motherfuckers dress alike, look alike. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But anyway, like I was saying, back to what I was saying before I got sidetracked with satire. What the action that Philly made today. More of that shit should happen and is needed. And it should be more of us men involved in our communities in that way. Those young men was responsive. You know what I mean? That's just proof within itself that they're willing to listen. And they always is. You know what I mean? Small story, short story. When I worked for the government, we used to get kids that did community service. They called them VIC workers. They would be there periodically all year round, but during the summertime, they was there every day. All year round, they would only work on the weekends. During the summer is where the bad kids came. My first year there, I didn't really interact too much with the kids because I didn't have anything to do with the kids. You know what I mean? By the time my second year working with the government came, I was in charge of the kids because people voted me in that position. That wasn't supposed to be about that when we went into the office. It was only supposed to be about getting somebody removed away from dealing with the kids. We witnessed something that none of us was comfortable with. And before I lost my job, I put my hands on somebody. We had to do something about it. I walked in the office and a little girl was sitting in a guy's lap. And still today, even talking about that shit pisses me off because we had all heard the rumors of him propositioning some of these girls for whatever to sign off on their paperwork. But all the other kids was out picking up trash and shit. And I was wondering, somebody else was looking for Shorty, and I was wondering where she was at. I go in the office to get some paper, and as soon as I open up the door, she trying to get up off us. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in here? He's like, she was just trying to tell me something. Oh, fuck no. The fuck out of here. The fuck is wrong with you? Long story short, got him no more kids for him. And that was a wrap with that situation. And we had it's not to say that I was fucking Mr. fucking hero and saved anybody's life, none of that shit. But anybody had to worry about no shit like that. I sent a few kids home. The mother brought her daughter there with a fucking wife beat on. What the fuck are you doing? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? She got, man, you costing me money. Why would you bring your child here like that around a bunch of grown ass men? You and your child go to fuck back home. But it was a little boy. One summer, it was about a good 10 of these motherfuckers there. There was this little boy there. This motherfucker didn't want to listen to save his life. He didn't want to do shit. I had made them get inside the recycling bin and take all the plastic tops off. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. That is not a job. I just made that shit up because they was getting on my nerves. So I made up something for them to do. This nigga said, I ain't doing shit. He said, I ain't doing nothing. Fuck you. I said, word? I said, all right, you can go the fuck home. I got on the phone, called his mother. He didn't go home. He calmed down and got his ass in the bin. But I used to get everybody lunch every Friday. The staff, the kids, I brought everybody lunch, got everybody pizza, all that shit, or whatever they wanted. I got the shit, except for him. I didn't get him shit. He was mad. And when his mom came to pick him up the next day, I asked his mom for permission if I could, the following Friday, take him to lunch, take him for a ride so I could talk to him just by herself, just me and him. And she said, sure, whatever. I gave her the little paper to sign and shit. And that following week, we went out to lunch together. Before he got in the vehicle, I had my ex-wife make a copy of my charge papers because a lot of times people see you in a certain environment and they won't listen unless they understand that you done been where they are, you done been who they are. I set it on the seat so when he got in the car, he would have to move it. Picked it up, he started reading and he was looking at it, he looked at me and he was reading it. He kept saying to me, he was like, this you? I said, yeah. He's like, nah, this not your brother, this not your cousin, this you, man. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, why the fuck you keep saying it? Yeah. Nah, I was like, none of that shit am I proud of. But before I say anything to you, I want you to understand, I have been exactly who you are. I done been exactly who you are. I done been mad for no fucking reason. I done been all that shit. You know, and as a kid, you don't understand where most of that anger come from. And most of that anger come from, not having a certain parent in your life or some shit, anything, any fucking thing. But ma'am had a conversation. I ain't gonna go into the whole in-depth of the conversation that we had. But his mother would tell anybody that conversation saved us. I don't believe so. I think it was a combination of her parenting and other events that happened and me just pushing him in the right direction at the right time. Because if somebody not willing to listen or had a conversation in the first place, none of that would happen. If she ain't already give him a solid foundation, and the football coaches and shit like that was in his life didn't already have him kind of towards that side, it wouldn't have mattered what the fuck I said. You know what I mean? He ended up getting a scholarship to go play defensive lineman in college and all that shit. They came back a few times to see me when I was still working for the government in Maryland. His mother brought me a little basket and all that shit. But that shit, and it was a few more, but that one stood out because the little nigga reminded me of me at his age. I was invested in that young man because he reminded me of me, because I would have said that same shit that he said to me when I told him to get in that motherfucking box and take them plastic tops off the motherfucker. Like, fuck you. Doing that shit. Who the fuck is you? You're not from where I'm from. You know what I mean? And granted, he's in the county, so I get him thinking that. He didn't know where he know nothing about me. He just see the persona of what I was at work, glasses, all that shit. He just see that. He didn't know nothing. So it was no natural respect there. But he turned out to be a dope young man and a productive member of society. You know what I mean? And that's because of a lot of people. I didn't tell that story to make it seem like I did some shit. Because I didn't. That was all the people that was in his life every day and himself that did that shit. But more people should take the time out if they can, if they can, to at least attempt to intervene, talk, do something, because something is needed. You know what I mean? Shout out to Philly Brew Hall. This whole entire live was inspired by her. But shout out to her. That action, that, even though, like I said, I might not agree with it, but at its principle, it was dope itself. But it's like anything, you don't know what you would do until you face with a similar type of scenario or whatever it is. You don't know what you would do or what you would be willing to risk. And I don't think at that particular time she even thought about none of that. She only thought about the little boys itself and wanting to do something to keep something from happening to them or one of them. She wasn't even concerned about herself, and that by itself is dope. You know what I mean? But shout out to Philly. Salute Ali. Ali had a dope live over there. I probably made a few people mad. I don't really care. I know a lot of people probably don't like what I have to say, but I don't have no allegiance when it comes to that scenario or that situation. I just said what I believe it is, what I feel about the situation. Now I say it again, and I will continue saying it. Regardless how anybody feel about whoever or whatever side or whoever, that two black women, young black women, that it shouldn't have never even gotten that far in the first place. And all of us, every last one of us in this little community on YouTube that we all help cultivate and build and designed, however it is now, played a part in it. Whether we indulge or don't, we all, if something would have happened, we'd have took it out. Her just going there, we all took it out. It's nothing for anybody to be fucking excited about on any side. That shit just look bad. It looked terrible. We all can't come together to do something good, but we can do and support shit like that. That's just this is the way I see it. Like something could have really happened. Luckily, it didn't happen to either one of them. But the fact that people find that shit, that it got there, it went there, and nobody's seeing it the way that I see it, and maybe a few others, and I don't get that shit. Well, for some of them I do, because for one particular motherfucker, anywhere, anything that got something to do with numbers and some drama and shit, be all on. The motherfucker be on some shit or speaking on some shit or doing some shit that ain't even remotely their business, as long as that shit is attached to somebody that do some fucking numbers. That's all this shit is about for most fucking people, and ain't shit wrong with that. To keep it a buck, to keep it funky, ain't nothing wrong with that. That's their shit. I'm just saying, in this sense, when it come to that shit wasn't like, nah, it ain't that. But salute. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for stopping by. And Ali, again, good show. Like I said, I know a lot of people didn't like what the fuck I had to say. I don't really care though. I don't. I never have. I ain't here to be liked. And I say that everything I do, every place I go. I'm not here to be liked, only respected. You know what I mean? A motherfucker like me later if they choose to. Just respect me. That's all the fuck I ask for. Yeah, I feel you. I feel the same way. It's sad. It really is. That's why I wouldn't even dare. It would be nice if somebody could have, before they even remotely even got to this shit, if somebody could have something, but you can't even do shit like that around here, because if you say something where it appears that you agree with something that one might have said or did or didn't do, then that means that you deal with that. All that shit is weird to me. Agreeing with someone doesn't mean you have any allegiance to that someone. I ain't never seen this many delusional people in one place. You can't even remotely say one little thing that's in agreement with something without somebody immediately, shut the fuck up. That shit is weird. That shit is weird. So I stay in my little corner, stay over here in fucking hip hop land, and I go to places with the people that I like. Other shit, I'm like, Yep, you automatically become an op. As soon as you like, and I don't get that, but that come from this shit that they didn't cultivate it, where you can't even, their own people can't be honest with them. So when your own people can't be honest with you, then anybody outside of that's not agreeing, oh no, you came here for ulterior motive. You can't be honest. You can't be. I remember when I used to be cool over at the other spot, and I used to go over there with people started to say that everything that I was saying was taking shots at him. I'm just being honest. I'm just being who the fuck I am. If I gotta agree with some shit just to agree with some shit that I don't, then I ain't, you know what? I'm good. I'm gone. I can't do that. That's bullshit. That's weird. Just as a man, online or not, I ain't like that in real life. I'm not gonna be like that online. If the shit don't set right with me, I'ma say something. Period. Shit, me and Dice fucking argue about little shit. Y'all wouldn't even believe the shit that we'd be fucking arguing about. But that's within that is still respectful though. We had blown out fucking arguments, not once that we called each other a bitch ass nigga or sucker ass nigga. None of that shit. Just whatever we're speaking about, we're passionate about at that particular time. People don't even get that. The first thing they go to is name calling people out their names and shit like that. Like that's weirdo shit. Like that's the only thing that you got within your vocabulary. But at its core, the problem with this shit is, and I don't even think some of them get it, and even most of us probably don't get it. The problem with this particular sector is it has an identity crisis, because at its core, I guess it was the Nature Boy shit, and then it was spiritual in the nature, and then suddenly COVID came, and this explosion of whatever it is now happened. And it's not to say the elements of this shit didn't exist before, but it wasn't every day. I don't think they realize what they changed into over a course of time. Like, this has primarily became, everybody's content has became each other every single day. Nobody is doing whatever their normal content was anymore. It's just not. I don't think nobody notices that, except for us few that still do or attempt to do normal content. What you're going to see eventually is a lot of people split off from that shit, because once you stop looking at it or consuming it, you're going to slowly drift away from that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, that's where I've always been since I remember. I was telling Dice this a little while ago. Before I even thought about doing live content, I missed those days of not knowing, right? Like, I had no idea about none of this shit, none of these people. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. I only knew the circle from the video upload people that I dealt with at that particular time. Real Talk 87, Dr. Bombay, eventually Global, and then it was somebody else who named Derek Williams at the time. But I ain't know shit about none of this other shit. I had no idea up until I started doing live content. And it took being attached to another channel holder at that particular time. But, you know, I almost wish I would have never even known about half of this shit. This shit make you look at your people different. It really do. It really make you look at your people different. I love my people, but this shit make you look at your people a little bit different. You motherfuckers crazy. But anyway, salute. We don't get out of here. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
I never fucked anybody over in my life. Didn't have it coming to me. You got that? All I have in this world is my balls and my word. And I don't break them for no one. You understand? That piece of shit up there, I never liked him. I never trusted him. For all I know, he had me set up and had my friend Angel Fernandez killed. But that's history. I hear he's not. Do you want to go on with me? To say.
They say your stages to the top 10. Oh, they forgot how they got here. Why they talking like we not here? Like we been punching on them all year. Y'all forgot about the barbershop, the Black Star. The small room, but it stops here. Easy. We about to take it back to the smack era. It's only right cause the blockhead. Hey, yo, Gout, this what I gotta do? Play politics, not with you. We supposed to be the last of the best of them. See what that money do? Extra 5,000 we running through. Jump on a plane and I come to you. Just text B's what you wanna do. Just text me that he want too much for you.